Hey everyone, how's it going? Today is the first video in a series of videos that I'm putting together called Cyber Insight Network Knowledge Quickies. The purpose of these videos is to take some high-level topics and break them down in a way that make them a little bit more understandable for folks who are new to the IT industry, just getting in and don't necessarily have all of the background knowledge and experience that some of us that have been around for a little bit longer have. The topic that we're going to be covering today is various types of computer networks. So if you take a look at the diagram that we have here on the screen, there's really four main types of networks that we're going to be talking about. Wide area networks, metropolitan area networks, local area networks, and personal area networks. The first one that most people are probably familiar with is going to be your local area network. And really this is where the majority of the technology that resides in an organization will end up residing. So this is going to be where all your servers are, where your workstations are, your various networking components, routers, switches, firewalls. If you think of an individual building and a network and components that reside within the building, that's really what we're talking about when we're talking about a local area network. So when we're talking about taking a LAN and expanding it beyond just a single building that it resides in, we start talking about expanding this LAN network or local area network into a metropolitan area network. And so if we take a look at the diagram over here, you'll see that multiple LANs kind of feed up into what we would call a MAN or metropolitan area network. Some of the diagrams over here, if you do a Google search on metropolitan area networks, these give you a pretty good idea. You're talking about multiple buildings in a single geographic location. So once we get to the point where we want to take multiple local area networks or multiple metropolitan area networks and connect them over geographically dispersed areas, we end up creating what's called a wide area network, or a WAN. So if we see here on the diagram, the WAN is kind of the top of the hierarchy of these different connected networks. If we go over into Google and we look at wide area networks, they pretty much, at least from a graphical perspective here, look very similar to a MAN. The real difference is that the WAN is going to be located in an area that really is further away from where the other local area networks are, where the MAN is more a extension of all of these LANs to different buildings, but somewhat in a close geographic proximity. Now, so normally when we're looking at wide area networks in a business environment, there's really two things to take into account there. There's the WAN from the perspective of your business or building, and the internet connection that it has going out through whoever your internet service provider is. Normally that edge there where you have a circuit coming in to your building from an internet service provider and connects into an external router or switch, that's normally considered a WAN. Another type of configuration where we would call it a WAN is when you're actually connecting multiple offices together that are very far apart. So let's say you have your main office is on the East Coast, and then you have secondary offices or branch offices that reside on the West Coast or the Southwest, or maybe even in a different part of the world. At that point, you might have some type of VPN or private type of circuit, so maybe the traffic isn't necessarily riding over the internet itself. You might have what in essence is a point-to-point circuit. That part of your architecture would also be considered a WAN, because at that point we're still talking about taking traffic and sending it from one geographic location to another area that's further away. So Normally when it comes to IT environments, you're going to end up seeing the LAN being where the majority of folks work and where they specialize. From a networking perspective on the WAN, you normally see a smaller group of folks that actually work on that. They normally have, I won't say more advanced, because you're going to have the expert people that are network engineers that work on the LAN are going to be as skilled as the people that work on the WAN. But from a WAN perspective, you normally aren't going to take junior folks and put them in charge of that, just because the impact that they could have working on your connection to the internet or your connection to a secondary site or a branch site could be pretty catastrophic. So it's not necessarily the place where you want new folks to be cutting their teeth as they're learning how to do various types of networking. Another thing that goes with that isn't just because of the risk associated with the impact of misconfigurations, but it's also because the technologies that are used on the WAN side normally are considered more advanced networking type of configurations and topics. So you're starting to get into your BGP type of routing, or using VRFs, or using various types of VPN technologies, SD-WAN, other types of things that it normally takes a little bit more of a learning curve to get up to the point where engineers are comfortable operating and implementing those types of technologies. So the items that fall into the personal area network, or the PAN, is really devices that I would say are within 30 feet of an individual. So those are things such as your cell phone, your smartwatch, your laptop, your printer that your laptop might be connected to, your security system. And those are all things that you could also say are on your LAN as well. So there is kind of a little bit of a gray area there, where there is some overlap between the nomenclature for those different types of computer networks. So one last thing I wanted to talk about was services that organizations are taking and putting into cloud infrastructure. So organizations might have different types of technology or services that they no longer want to house within their own building or their own data center. And they might want to take that and have a cloud service provider host that type of technology or service for them. At that point, whenever you as an individual on that in local area network and in the host organization's environment are accessing those tools and services, even though they look like they reside within your LAN, you really are going over a WAN connection to be able to access those tools. So there, again, kind of with the PAN and the LAN, with cloud services, and depending on how it's configured and how it's made to appear to the end user, there is a little bit of gray area between a service or a tool appearing to be on the LAN versus being out on the WAN. So I hope this breakdown of the different types of computer networks is beneficial and gives you a little bit clearer understanding of where different technologies reside within the different types of networks. As always, if you have any questions, please hit me up here on the YouTube channel in the comments, or you can send questions to me on Twitter at jbizzle703. The link for my account is in the description in the video, and I look forward to providing more information to you in the future with the next video that I do for Cyber Insight Network Knowledge Quickies. All right, take care. Thanks.